of you. Today again I will discuss next concept of limits, under which we discuss the limits problems based on limits, which is related to exponential and logarithmic function. I think you know about exponential and logarithmic function, and I want to start directly from formula and its proof, and again its relevant problems. Firstly, I want to take your formula. First will be limits x tends to c e to the power c is e to the power x is equal to e to the power c. That means if c is limits x tends to e to the power x is equal to e to the power c. This is nothing, simply I have already told you, if you see that after putting the value of x is equal to c in e to the power x, that means given function, and you get some fixed number, then it becomes exist, and it is and its limiting value will be obtained value, that means e to the power c. Similarly, for example, I want to take as example limits x tends to 2 e to the power x is equal to e square. It is very simple. Next problem will be limits x tends to 0 e to the power x. It will be 1, because if you put x is equal to 0, in that case it becomes e to the power 0. As you know that e to the power 0 is equal to 1. So it will be 1. Now I want to take third formula, which will be limits x tends to 0 e to the power x minus 1 divided by x is equal to 1. Now its formula will be e to the power x minus 1 divided by x is equal to 1. It is very important formula. Be careful. First see here, there is given e to the power x minus 1 divided by x. Here e to the power x minus 1, x is here also. X is here also. So be careful about. If x is here, then there should be also x. And x is approaching to 0, then in that case its value will be 1. Now I want to prove it. How can you prove it? Actually, this is not in your class. Proof of this formula is not belong to your class completely. In above class you will discuss in very detail. Further I want to explain it. I want to write one series of e to the power x. E to the power x is equal to 1 plus x to the power 1 divided by 1 factorial plus x square by 2 x square by 2 factorial plus x cube by 3 factorial plus dot इस तरह से जो है, that means e to the power x is equal to 1 plus x to the power 1 by 1 factorial plus x square by 2 factorial x cube by 3 factorial. This is an expansion of e to the power x. Now put in this expression, what do you get? Limit x tends to 0 e to the power x is equal to 1 plus x to the power 1 factorial plus x square by 2 factorial plus dot minus 1 divided by x. In that case 1 and minus 1 vanishes. If you take x common from this expression, x cancel each other, finally you get limit x tends to 0. If you take x common, what do you get? 1 by 1 factorial plus x by 2 factorial plus x square by 3 factorial plus dot divided by क्या? What? X. That means now you have to put x is equal to 0. If you put x is equal to 0, it becomes 0, and remains all terms will be 0. Finally you get 1 by 1 factorial. As you know that 1 factorial will be 1, so 1 by 1 is equal to 1. So e to the power x minus 1 by x is equal to 1 if x approaches to 0. This is the formula. This is beyond your class. In higher classes you will discuss expansion of e to the power x, sin x, cos x, tan x, as well as logarithmic function also. But I think in your class this is not useful. But for proof, I want to take it again. Now take next formula for you. What is next formula? See again. Next formula will be limits x tends to 0. That means x tends to c, e to the power x is equal to e to the power c, where x belongs to real number. Next formula will be limits x tends to 0 log 1 plus x divided by x is equal to 1, and next formula will be limits x tends to 0 a to the power x minus 1 divided by x is equal to log a, where a is equal to 0 greater than 0 and a is equal to not 1. Finally we take again next formula, which will be limits x tends to 0 log x is equal to log c. Now I want to give you proof of 1 by 1 formula. As you know that limits a to the power x a to the power x is equal to a to the power c when x approaching to 0. Sorry, when x approaching to c. As you know that c is a constant, that means c belongs to real number. You can take here c belongs to real number. If c belongs to real number, if you can take here, so x belongs to 1. If x belongs to real number and here x is approaching to c, in that case by directly putting that method you can put here, in that case you get some finite number, so it exists, so you can proceed by this way. But logarithmic of limits x tends to 0 log 1 upon x by x is equal to 1. Now I will give its proof. When x tends to 0, log x is equal to log c. Now I want to tell you log x, log c, nothing, there is no c. When x tends to c, log x is equal to log c, because c is a finite number, c is greater than 0 and c is equal to c belongs to positive real number, not negative. This is the formula. Now again take limits x to the power a to the power x minus 1 divided by x is equal to log a. Now I want to give mainly for proof of this formula and this formula, because this is nothing, simply direct put the value of x is equal to c in given function. Now I want to firstly write the proof of this formula. How can you prove limit a x tends to 0 e to the power x using logarithmic log property? Can you write e to the power x is e to the power x log a minus 1 divided by x log a into log a. Now definitely right. How can you write? There is a very simple property of logarithmic property. E to the power x log a is equal to e to the power log a to the power x. Using property of log, there is a hide e, so e to the power log a to the power x with respect to e is equal to what? A to the power x. So I have taken here a to the power x is equal to e to the power x log a directly. Now as you know that when x tends to 0, and if you multiply, here you can take here a is greater than 0, a is equal to not 1, so a is equal to a is greater than 0 and a is greater than 0 and a is equal to not 1, we can take if you log 1 0, yeah, a is equal to not 1, because now a is equal to not greater than a is greater than 0 and a is equal to not 1. I have taken already here. Now if x is greater than 0, I have taken here e to the power x is equal to e to the power x log a. If you take e to the power x is equal to e to the power x log a minus 1 divided by x log a. Now you can consider about it. Can you take here log a is constant? Here I have taken numerator log a divided. I have taken log a in numerator simultaneously denominator also, so it doesn't affect log a. Now I want to take log a common from numerator. In that case, you get log a times limits x tends to 0. But before writing it, I want to again tell you, if x approaches to 0, can you say about it also log a into x also approaches to 0? Why? Because log a is a constant. If log a is a constant number, then you can say that, because I have already told you about it. So in that case, you can say that also x times log a also approaches to 0, and it becomes e to the power x log a minus 1 divided by x log a. Can you write? Because when x approaches to 0 and if you multiply in x by any constant factor, then the resulting value also approaches to 0. So log a into limits x times log a approaching to 0, the limits x log a approaches to 0 e to the power x log a minus 1 divided by x log a. Now you see here, suppose that for 1 second x log a is equal to y. In that case, e to the power y minus 1 divided by y approaches to 0. In that case, you can say that it is nothing just like a formula of limits e to the power x minus 1 divided by x approaching to 1. So it will be log a into 1, which will be log a. That means remember it. Limits x tends to 0 e to the power x minus x is equal to log a, which is your required formula. Next, I want to again discuss log 1 plus x divided by x when x approaches to 0. This is your important formula. We remember this formula, a to the power x minus x, a to the power x minus 1 divided by x. You have to also remember there is also negative sign. Now I want to take next formula for you, which is very very important for you, with proof. Limits x tends to 0, log 1 plus x divided by x is equal to 1. How can you prove it? It is also very simple, but it is beyond your class because you have to use here expansion of log 1 plus x. In higher class, you will again discuss log 1 plus x is equal to x minus x square by 2 plus x cube by 3 minus x to the power 4 by 4 plus dot 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 dot. This is the expansion of log 1 plus x. You have to utilize here from equation first. You can take equation first. Don't take from LHS. Simply use limits x tends to 0. Can you take log 1 plus x is equal to x minus x square by 2 plus x cube by 3 minus x to the power 4 by 4 plus dot 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 divided by x. If you take common x in numerator, you get if you take common x in numerator, you can cancel x and x. In that case, you get in numerator 1 minus x by 2. You get limits x tends to 0 1 minus x by 2 plus x square by 3 minus x cube by 4 plus dot dot dot. Now you have to put simply x is equal to 0. If you put x equal to 0, it becomes 0, it becomes 0, it becomes 0, and remains all terms which lie in the right side of this expansion becomes 0, and finally you get what which will be constant. So its value will be 1. So I want to tell you there are mainly 3 formula which is very important for you this chapter. First will be limits a to the power x. That means simply you can say that another way. When x approaches to 0, then a to the power x minus 1 divided by x approaches to log a. Second will be when x approaches to 0, then log 1 plus x divided by x approaches to 1. Third formula will be when x approaches to 0, then e to the power x minus 1 divided by x approaches to 1. Now, we discuss with you problems based on these formula. First examples. See here. First will be evaluate the limits. Following limits. First will be limits x tends to 0 e to the power 5x minus 1 divided by x. How can you solve? According to this formula, do you know? I think you know e to the power x minus 1 divided by x. But there is a 5x. So in denominator there should be also 5x. But there is only x. How can you take here 5? If there will be 5. If there will be 5, then you have to also write here 5x using formula. So I want to write, can you write here 5x approaching to 0? Because if x approaching to 0, then 5x also approaches to 0. Now I have to write here e to the power 5x minus 1 divided by 5x. Can you write? Now if you take here 5 in denominator, then you have to also multiply by 5 in numerator also. In that case, I want to take 5 common from numerator, and finally you take limits 5x tends to 0 e to the power 5x minus 1 divided by 5x. If 5x approaches to 0, for 1 second, suppose that 5x is equal to y. In that case, it becomes 5 times limits y approaching to 0 e to the power y minus 1 divided by y. That will be 1. So it will be 5 times, so it will be 5. Now again take next problem for you. Next will be limits a to the power x limits x tends to 0 e to the power x minus 1 divided by sin x. How can you solve this problem? This is also very easy because you know that here x approaching to 0, and if x approaching to 0, there should be sin x by x. Then it becomes very easy to solve it. So I want to take x in denominator as well as in numerator. In that case, you can take here a to the power x minus 1 divided by sin x by x. Can you write? Because it comes in denominator, it comes in denominator, and both will be cancelled. Now I want to write formula. Can you divide it into parts? Limits a to the power x minus 1 divided by x by limits x tends to 0 sin x by x. Here it will be 1, it will be also 1. Finally 1 by 1, which will be 1. This is your final answer. Again take next problem for you. Third, see here. Limits x tends to 0 2 to the power x minus 1 divided by under root 1 plus x minus 1. How can you solve it? How can you solve it? See here, this is also very easy. Firstly, multiply in numerator and denominator by its conjugate. If you multiply its conjugate, you get limit x tends to 0. If you multiply in its conjugate, what do you get? 2 to the power x minus 1 divided by under root 1 plus x minus 1 into under root 1 plus x plus 1. You have to also multiply in numerator. Under root 1 plus x plus 1. In that case, you get a plus b into a minus b. Finally, you get limit x tends to 0 2 to the power x minus 1 by x. How can you write x? Because if you split using formula under root a plus b into a minus b a square, that means 1 plus x b square minus 1 1 when is it there, finally you get x, that means you can write 2 to the power x minus 1 divided by x, and in numerator as a multiplication you get under root 1 plus x plus 1. Now you have to utilize formula. Can you resolve this two function into parts? Now I want to remove this part. Can you write limit x tends to 0 2 to the power x minus 1 by x into limits x tends to 0 under root 1 plus x plus 1. It is also very easy for you. Now you have to use formula. It becomes 1 log 2. Why? Because I have already told you limits a to the power x minus limits a to the power x minus limits a to the power x minus 1 divided by x will be log a. Here a is equal to 2, so I have taken here log 2, and under root now in this part you have to directly put x is equal to 0. In that case it becomes 1 into 2 into 2, that will be log 2. If you utilize if you use property of log, it becomes power 2, and you get log 4. I want to again tell you, if there is no mention base of logarithmic, then you have to always consider there is a e. I want to again write log x. In that case there is no here nothing, so you have to consider there is a x. Again similarly there is a special symbol for this ln x. Anywhere if anyone use ln x, it means that here base of log will be e simply. So you can write log 4 or ln 4. But if there is no mention, then you always use in base a small e. Now I want to take again. Do you know as pi is also as you know that pi is irrational number. Similarly is also irrational number. Is also irrational number whose approximate value 2.7312. 2.7312, whose approximate value will be 2.7312 value of e. And as you know that pi is also irrational number whose approximate value 3.142857. Remember it. And pi is also irrational number. Now I want to take again next problem for you. Problem second. Second will be second one. Evaluate the following limits, which will be limits x tends to 0 a to the power x minus 1 divided by b to the power x minus 1. How can we solve this problem again? There is no x because because you know that in formula a to the power x minus 1 by x approaches to log a when x approaches to 0. So can you write it? I want to take x by hit and try in numerator as well as denominator. Can you take it? Now its limiting value will be log a, and in denominator it will be log b. So you can try it. But if you want to write one step again, can you write it? You can write log a to the power x tends to 0 by x divided by log a x approaching to 0 b to the power x minus 1 by x. You can write also this expression as this. Now I want to take again second problem. Limit x tends to 0 e to the power ax minus e to the power bx by x. Now you have to find the value of this limit. How can you solve? It is also very easy, but you have to utilize your mind. Firstly, you see here e to the power ax. If you put x is equal to 0, it becomes 0 by 0, which is indeterminate form. Definitely you see in formula form. As you know that limits x tends to 0 e to the power x minus 1 by x is equal to 1. But there is no one. There is no one. E to the power ax is available. That means form of e to the power something is available, but 1 is not available. How can you write? I want to tell you. Can you write it? Limits x tends to 0 e to the power ax minus 1 minus e to the power bx minus 1. See here, what will happen? Minus 1, minus plus 1 and 1 vanishes. Minus 1 and 1 vanishes. Finally, it becomes same. So I want to, by hit enter, write 1 and minus 1. Now I want to write again. Can you write e to the power x minus 1 by x minus limits x tends to 0 e to the power bx minus 1 by x? Can you write? I think it is very easy. Now again you will try. You will think, how can you write? I want to tell you. Now it becomes e to the power x minus 1 by x. But according to formula, if there is x, then there is also x, and x approaches to also 0. Now there is ax, but here is x. I want to take a. Can you take? A is a constant. So I want to take as a multiplication because I have taken a forcefully in denominator. So you have to also take in numerator. Now x approaching to 0. As you know that if x approaching to 0, then x times any factor also approaching to 0. So can you take ax also approaching to 0? If x approaching to 0, then its value will be what? A times. What will be the its value? 1, because e to the power x minus 1 divided by x is equal to what? 1 when x approaching to 0. Similarly, it becomes, if you take forcefully b in denominator, then you have to also be in numerator for balancing it. So you have to also write here b. Now here x approaching to 0, then can you say bx also approaching to 0? In that case, b times, it becomes b times its value will be what? 1. So its value will be a. This is your final answer. Now I want to take again next problem for you. This is your second problem. Now I want to take third question. In third, limits x approaching to 0, e to the power sin x minus 1 by x. Firstly, you want to solve by direct putting value method, but if you put x is equal to 0, it becomes 1 minus 1 divided by 0. That means 0 by 0, which is indeterminate form. So you will definitely use a standard formula. There is e to the power sin x. As you know that there should be, if there should be e to the power sin x, then there should be sin x also. But there is no. So for balancing it, I want to write forcefully in denominator sin x. If you take forcefully sin x in denominator, then you have to also write in numerator sin x, and there is the x. This is x is taken here. Now, as you know that, can you split it in two parts? If x approaching to 0, now I want to tell you, can you split it into two parts? Limits x approaching to 0, e to the power sin x minus 1 by sin x into limits x approaching to 0, sin x by x. Now I want to tell you, as you know that limits e to the power x minus 1 by x approaching to 1, if x approaching to 0. Now here you see that in place of x there is a sin x. There is sin x. That means if there is sin x, then there should be also sin x, and approaching variable also approaches to 0, but there is no variable x. There is sin x function. So can you say if x approaching to 0, then sin x also approaching to 0? Now you remains, it becomes a, there is no trouble with this formula. Now you have to utilize formula. It becomes 1. It becomes 1. One final value will be 1. This is 3 first. Now I want to take 3 second. In 3 second, it will be limits x tends to 0, e to the power x minus e to the power minus x by sin x. How can you solve it? I want to again tell you, can you write limits x tends to 0, e to the power x minus 1 minus e to the power minus x minus 1 by sin x? Can you write? Now I want to again tell you limits x tends to 0. Can you write e to the power x minus 1 divided by sin x minus e to the power minus x minus 1 by sin x? Can you write? Now I want to use limits separately such that you can understand easily. E to the power minus x minus 1 divided by sin x. Can you write? Now you see that there is e to the power x minus 1 by sin x. There is nothing. This is same as this problem. Now I want to write again around this part. Can you write it, or can you write it limits x to the power 0 e to the power x minus 1 by x into sin x by x minus limits x tends to 0 e to the power x minus 1 by minus x into minus x by sin x. Now I want to tell you, see here, I have taken here x and x, numerator and denominator, such that it balances. Now, e to the power x minus 1 by x is equal to what? 1 into x by sin x, or sin x by x will be also 1. When x approaching to 0, if you want to split into two parts, you can split. Minus e to the power minus x minus 1 by x. I have already told you, if in formula e to the power x minus 1 by x, if there is x, then there should be also x in denominator, and this approaching value also approaches to 0. According to this formula, e to the power minus x. See here, e to the power, there is minus x, so you have to take an also minus. So I have taken a minus x as well as here also. Now, if x approaching to 0, then minus x also approaching to 0. So you can take, or you can take also minus x. In that case, it becomes what? It becomes what? I want to remove this. When you split into two parts, in first case you take minus x, here you take plus x, or you can take this negative sign here. In that case, it becomes plus. If you take this negative sign here, then minus minus plus, and its value will be what? 1 into its value will be what? 1. So it will be 1 plus 1, that will be what? This is your answer of this problem. Now, I want to again take next problem for you. There is nothing, you have to only convert into a standard form of formula. Otherwise, everything becomes very easy for you. See next problem 4. 4 first will be e to limits x tends to 0, e to the power x plus sin x minus 1 by 3x. How can you solve this problem? This is also very easy. I want to tell you, limits x tends to 0, e to the power x minus 1 by 3x plus limits x tends to 0, sin x by 3x. Do you understand? Now, I want to write, can you take 1 by 3 common here and 1 by 3 also simultaneously? In that case, you get limit x tends to 0, e to the power x minus 1 by x plus limit x tends to 0, sin x by x. Finally, you get it becomes 1, and it becomes also 1 plus 1, that will be 2. So it becomes 1 by 3 into 2, that will be 2 by 3, which is your required answer. Now, I want to take again next problem for you, which will be 5. Sorry, this is 4-1. I want to take again 4-2. 4-2 will be limits x tends to 0, 3 to the power 2x minus 2 to the power 3x divided by x. What is the value of this expression? It is also very easy. How can you solve? Can you write limit x tends to 0? 3 to the power 2x minus 1 minus 2 to the power 3x minus 1 divided by x. This is an important step for you, because sometimes students couldn't think as this. So I want to always suggest, while you think there is any expression as like e to the power ax, e to the power bx, then you have to add 1 and subtract 1. Here I have taken minus 1. If you multiply by minus plus 1, and minus 1 minus is there, so it becomes 7. Now, limit x tends to 0, can you write it? 3 to the power 2x. 3 to the power 2x, can you write it? Not 9 to the power x minus 1 divided by x, minus limits x tends to 0, 2 to the power 3. That means 8 to the power x minus 1 divided by x. How can you write? Because 3 to the power 2x can be written as 3 whole square divided over to the power x, which will be 9 to the power x. Similarly, 2 to the power 3x, you can write it 8 to the power x. Now, 8 to the power x minus 1 by x will be what? Log a. That means log 9 minus 8 to the power x minus 8 to the power x minus 1 by x is equal to what? Log b, which will be 8. So log a minus log b will be what? Log 9 by 8, which will be your required answer. Now, I want to take next problem for you. I always suggest to you, try to write in standard form. Thereafter, it becomes very easy. 5 first. What is 5 first? Limit x tends to 0, log 1 plus ax, log 1 plus ax minus log 1 minus bx divided by x. You have to Find the value of this expression. How can you solve? Simply limits x tends to 0 log 1 plus x by x minus limits x tends to 0 log 1 minus bx by x. Can you write? Can you write? Now you have to multiply here a and also here a. Similarly, you have to multiply here by minus b and here also minus b. What will happen after multiplying? It becomes here. Why do we multiply by a and minus b? I want to tell you, I have already given a formula. Limit x tends to 0 log 1 plus x by x is equal to what? 1. You see here, there is a plus sign and x means that x and x equals to 0. Now, so here there is a, you can suppose this is a one variable. So I have taken here ax. Now, can you write a times limits x tends to ax tends to 0 log 1 plus ax by x? Can I write? Why do we write? There is simple reason. I want to again write minus minus plus b times limits minus bx tends to 0 log 1 plus minus b into x divided by minus bx. Now, see here, I have already told you log 1 plus x by x approaching to 1 when x approaching to 0. In that case, that means here, this is, you can suppose that this is y. In that case, y approaching to 0, 1 log 1 plus y by y. It is also equal to 1, so it becomes a into 1 plus b into. Similarly, here, suppose that minus bx is equal to y. In that case, if y approaching to 0, then it becomes y and it becomes y. Log 1 plus y by y, that means it will be definitely again 1. So it becomes finally a plus b, which is your required answer. There is nothing. Simply write or try to convert in a standard formula. Thereafter it becomes very easy for you. Only put the value of formula. Now I want to take 5 seconds in which there is given limits x tends to 1 log x by x minus 1. Now you definitely think about this problem. How can you solve this problem? This is also very easy. How can you tell? Can you write limits x tends to 1 log 1 plus x minus 1? Can you write as it? If again I want to write, can you write? I have taken here 1 and minus 1. Why do we take here 1 and minus 1? There is simple reason behind it. Because if you take here 1 and minus 1, then it becomes 1 log, as a formula, log 1 plus y by y. Log y by y. And here x approaching to 1. So, if you want, can you tell here log, if x approaching to 1 and log 1 plus y by y. If you couldn't understand, then there is also one method. So it will be 1. But if you couldn't understand this method, then I will again discuss another way. Can you write limits x tends to 0? I want to make it RHL. In that case, it becomes log 1 plus h divided by here x can be replaced by 1 plus h minus 1. 1 and 1 minus 1 and minus 1 minus h is there, and you finally get limits h tends to 0 from right hand side log 1 plus h by h, which will be simply 1. This is also second method. Now, I want to take again 6, 1 and 2. See here. 6, 1. 6, 1 is given that limits x tends to 0, 10 to the power x minus 2 to the power x minus 5 to the power x plus 1 divided by x into 10x. Now there is a question. How can you solve it? I have already told you there is a simple method add 1 and minus 2, but there is already plus 1 is available. How can you solve? I want to suggest you limits x tends to 0. 10 to the power x can be written as 5 to the power x into 2 to the power x. So if you take common 10 to the power x and 2 to the power x, 2 to the power x. So what will happen? 5 to the power x minus 1. And if you take here minus 1 common, you what do you get? 5 to the power x minus 1 divided by x into 10x. Can you write? Again, I want to tell you, after taking 5 to the power x minus 1 common, what do you get? 2 to the power x minus 1. In denominator, you get x times 10x. Again, I want to write as limits x tends to 0. Can you write 5 to the power x minus 1 by x into 2 to the power x minus 1 by x into 10x by x? Firstly, it's here. Is it same or different? X vanishes and you get 5 to the power x minus 1 into 2 to the power x minus 1 divided by x into 10x. That is similar condition. So, only I have done some return trial which balances it. Now, its value will be what? Log 5. Its value will be what? Log 2. And its value will be what? 1. So, its value will be this. Now, again take next problem for you. Second will be limits x to the power 5, x tends to 5, 3 to the power x minus 3 to the power 5 by x minus 5. How can you solve this problem? This is also very easy. How can you solve? Firstly, take 3 to the power 5 common in numerator forcefully. If you take 3 to the power 5 common forcefully, what do you get? 3 to the power 5 limits x tends to 5. 3 to the power x minus 5 minus 1 divided by x minus 5. How can you tell? Because if you take if you couldn't understand, multiply this factor numerator. What do you get? 3 to the power 5 into 3 to the power x minus 5. Base is same, so power is added. 5 plus x minus 5, 5 and minus 5 vanishes in the. Finally, you get 3 to the power x minus 3 to the power x minus. If you multiply by 3 to the power 5 in 1, what do you get? 3 to the power 5 divided by x minus 5. This is same. If you couldn't understand this way, I want to again write another way. Can you write 3 to the power x? 3 to the power x as 3 to the power x minus 5 into 3 to the power 5. Can you write? Because if you there is a base same, if you add its power, it becomes 3 to the power x. So I have taken right here, and here I have taken 3 to the power 5 common from this term and this term. Then you get 3 to the power, then you get 3 to the power 5 into 3 to the power limits x tends to 5. 3 to the power x minus 5 divided by what? By x minus 5. This is nothing. A to the power x by minus 1 by x, which will be log x. So you can write 3 to the power 5 into log x minus 5. X minus 5. X minus 5 is 1 minute. Sorry, x minus 5. A to the power x minus 1 by x, that means log a. Log 3. I have taken in log always a. There is a. So I have taken 3 to the power 5 into log 3. Now, this is good problem. Again, take next problem. I think last problem of this exercise. In next exercise, next problem. Limits x tends to a log x minus log a by x minus a. How can you solve this problem? I want to firstly write it. Log a minus log x minus log x minus log a by x minus a. How can you solve this problem? Firstly, I suggest you write RHI. Can you write RHI? Limits x tends to 0. Limits a plus h minus log a divided by a plus h minus a. In that case, a and a vanishes in that. Now, it will be limits x tends to 0 log. Can I take it becomes. Can I write here a into 1 plus h by a minus log a by h? Can I write? I have done nothing. If you multiply by a in this factor, what do you get? A plus a cancel and h. That means it becomes same. So I have done nothing, only to write in a standard form, or you taking in a standard formula form. I have done it. Now I want to write again log. This is nothing, log m into n. Can you write log m into n is equal to log m plus log n? So I want to write it as log a plus log 1 plus h by a minus log a divided by, sorry, I have forgotten, limit x tends to 0. There, after this step you have to write here log a divided by h. Here both term cancels. Thereafter you get limits x tends to 0 log 1 plus h by a, but there is only h, so I want to write h by a forcefully. In that case you have to again take a for balance it. Now if you see here, it becomes what? 1. In which case it becomes 1, for which I want to write, can you take 1 by a common, and finally you get if h approaching to 0, then if you multiply h by any factor, then it definitely also approaches to 0. I have taken 1 by a. If you multiply h by 1 by a, then what h by a also approaching to 0, which will be log 1 plus h by a by h by a. Finally it becomes 1 by a into 1 over 1 by a, which is your required answer of this question. I think your whole exercise, which is relevant to exponential and logarithmic functions problem, I have done. In next class, I will again discuss next concept of calculus. That means differential calculus. That means differentiation, or that means derivative of a function. Firstly, I will discuss what is differential. That means what is derivative and what is the actual meaning of derivative. Thereafter, I will discuss next problems that is relevant to this topic. Thanks all of you. Now you have to solve, and if you any problem, ask me. Bye.